growth of professional sports in India has been marked with the rise of various sport leagues in various sports. We have all witnessed the tremendous success of the Indian Premier League, even through the pandemic. The emergence of private and community based leagues, besides providing recreation for fans and an opportunity for new players, also present an opportunity to create new business and economic values for stakeholders. But to succeed, it is imperative that for leagues to be commercially viable, for the players and the stakeholders, be sustainably grow, and to strike a balance with the sports federations and administrators. To discuss all of this, we invite on stage Mr. Abhijit Bhattacharya, former captain of the Indian volleyball team and founder of the Brahmaputra Volleyball League. Mr. Bhattacharya has successfully implemented award-winning projects through community development. In December 2020, Mr. Bhattacharya has started the Brahmaputra Volleyball League, a unique platform for promoting rural talent, which is now one of the biggest ever grassroots sports initiatives undertaken in India. Welcome, sir. We have Mr. Vishal Jaison, co-founder of Baseline Ventures and a leader in sports, entertainment, and brand licensing. Among other projects, Baseline Ventures was instrumental in the creation of the Prime Volleyball League, India's first privately owned sports league. And our host and moderator for this Fireside chat is Ms. Sharda Ugra, renowned sports journalist with a career spanning over 3 decades. Ms. Ugra writes across mediums, including broadsheet, news magazines, and websites. She's co-authored 2 books with former men's team India cricket coach John Bright's India Summers and former Indian cricketer Yuvraj Singh's Test of My Life. Over to you, Sharda.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm wearing my Aizol FC t-shirt today for the first time at the Sports Law Symposium. I'm apologizing that I'm not wearing the Brahmaputra League, which I'm very interested in. I was just watching that video after listening to Vidya's talk and thinking sports, entertainment, complex and whatever, but the sports fan in me just got excited and watched it and got completely sort of into the story, whatever the very stories were. I think all of us are looking and saying volleyball. But what about basketball? What about NBA? Volleyball is a kind of sport that has popularity in India that I think a lot of us from outside the volleyball community don't understand. We don't even know the numbers that are there. I remember covering a volleyball tournament in Baroda. This was in very long ago, in the 90s. And I was told that volleyball was so popular in Kerala and in some parts of it that if the stadiums were packed, they were held in villages or in smaller towns. And if the referees got the decision wrong, there was no DRS, they got pelted with eggs, like not boiled eggs. They got pelted with eggs. So that's the kind of sport that there is. We've seen sort of, the volleyball. We've heard news about, the Indian volleyball team did very well at an Asian event, and then there's a blank, and then you don't know. Then you read the Hindu again, after a few months, something else happens. So here, there are 2 elements of the volleyball story that are quite dramatic, and to my mind, that are quite fascinating in many ways. I have a list of questions here. I'm sure I'll follow none of them, but let me start with Vishal. So I think you need to explain to people where this league came from. It was previously pro volleyball and now it's become the Prime Volleyball League, right? So there's another saga involving lots of lawyers, I think, in the story of from pro to prime. So why did this start? Can you just tell the public how it was born, how it came to be, and where it is at?
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody. So I'll take 2 steps back and talk to you about the origin of Pro Volleyball League, or rather Prime Volleyball League now. So it started in 2019 with the Pro Volleyball League, right, which we entered into a 10-year partnership with the Volleyball Federation of India. We held a very successful inaugural edition, right? We had the support of established business houses and reputed individuals as team owners. There were leading brands that came on board as sponsors. Sony put us on 3 to 4 sports channels on prime time. And it was a successful edition, right? But I think we ended up paying a huge price for the success because the Volleyball Federation had never seen anything of this scale, right? This level of sort of commercialization as the Pro Volleyball League, right? So after the first edition, their demands went up. They wanted a bigger cut. They wanted to completely sort of change terms, etc. And similar sort of requests and demands, none of which we agreed to. And they were left with no other option but to illegally sort of terminate our contract with for Pro Volleyball League. What we did is we took them to court, right? There are individuals over here who helped us with that, a whole process, and we had a very reputed legal firm, law firm based out of Chennai, helping us out, right? The case was fought out of the Madras High Court for a year and a half, and after 1.5 years, there was a landmark judgment which was announced in our favor that said there was absolutely no wrongdoing from baseline, and the contract was illegally terminated, right? And why I say landmark is because it was one of the few instances where a private body won a case against a national sports federation. And they were slapped a hefty sort of fee or a fine, which they haven't paid as yet. Obviously, it looks like I think the federation is bankrupt. And so moving from pro to prime, all the stakeholders who were a part of Pro Volleyball League, the different franchise owners, Sony Sports, leading brands like Rupee, A23, etc., came on board as soon as we said, we're going to do this again in a new form without the federation, right? And yeah, so Pro Volleyball League was held in 2019, and there was a gap of 3 years owing to the legal case and the fight and COVID. And 2022, earlier this year, was when we held the first edition of Prime Volleyball League.
So the federation, these are the people that run sports in India. They are recognized by the Indian Olympic Association, which is recognized by the International Olympic Association. The Indian Federation is recognized by the International Volleyball Federation. And so for them to do this, it's almost like a display of power in that sense, which is anyone, they're sports journalists here in the audience, and they'll all be rolling their eyes and say, yes, we know the story. Now, I want to ask Abhijit, in what is a very, very, I'm always fascinated by the subject, the Brahmaputra Volleyball League. The Brahmaputra League was played last time, 2021-22. So 2,200 players, 2,200 players and 93 villages took part. So Abhijit, tell us the story that despite, you heard all this other stuff about volleyball. How did the idea begin? What led you to get started with it? And where is it at this point?
Thank you, Sharda. You all have to bear with my grassroots English. I'm not very convenient. My league is grassroots, so my English is also grassroots. Yes, Brahmaputra Volleyball League. In fact, when Sharda asks not to call her ma'am, so I practice it, in fact. I'm a PSU guy for last 24 years, and our day starts with sir and ma'am and ends with sir and ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. The fact that I am here with a complimentary ticket and a stay, probably Brahmaputra Volleyball League has reached somewhere. So it started basically before the COVID. And we, the former players of Assam, were supporting the children who wants to play a game in the rural pockets, in the villages. They don't have any other infrastructure. They don't have any technologies. They don't have cricket grounds. They just want to play a game. And what better a game can be like volleyball, which is very low cost. You just need a net which costs around 1,200 rupees, a ball 800 rupees. With 2 bamboo poles, you can start. So that's how we started. We formed a small foundation, named it Assam Volleyball Mission 100. The very idea was to give collect 100 balls and give it to these rural pockets, the kids who wants to play the game. If I go back like in 2008-9, when I was playing for the Indian team and I went for a vacation in Assam, so one of my friends asked me to go to this village where children are very much interested in playing volleyball. So he told me that if you go there, they will be very encouraged. So I went there. There was a huge football ground, and in one corner of the football ground, there were 2 volleyball courts. In one of the court, the girls were playing. Around 50 to 20 girls. Volleyball is usually played between 6 versus 6. But these girls were around 15 and they were pretty well enjoying the game. On the other side of the court, where the boys' court was there, they were sitting idle. So I asked them, like, when are you going to play? I watch you to see playing. So they started looking at each other's face. Then I told him what happened. Then I came to know that the only ball they had, it got punctured. It was a 36-piece ball, old ball, and that time it hardly cost around 350 rupees. So I asked them, what are you going to do next? So they told me कि उनमें से एक का uncle Indian Army में job करता है, he is in somewhere in Haryana. So when he comes back on chutti, leave, he has promised them a ball. So till then, these kids are going to wait for a ball. And they are all like 50, 20 years young boys. And I have grown up in Assam and I have seen how like youth with so much of energy are diverted through different directions. So when I went back home, I was like totally, I got free and I sat down. Then I called my boss in Dehradun and I asked him to kindly extend my leave for 1 week. So he extended. What happened then next week, the idea was not to give them a ball. The ball will get again punctured. So we went back to that village with some balls and net, and we told them that next weekend we are going to organize a small tournament here. So let all you call the villagers. So I went to the village sarpanch, the Gaon Bura we call in Assam, the teachers, whoever other government employees, very few were there. And the girls were very much ready to help them in cooking food and all. And next weekend we organized a small tournament. Tournament was like everybody from the community participated, or we erected a small stand, their loudspeaker playing. And by afternoon, the crowd were gathering in. And by evening, their village team reached the finals. And the entire village was shouting and hooting for their village team to win. So there was a spirit somewhere that we have to support our village winning. And that was the beginning. And post that, I tried supporting villages, but funds were a constraint. And tournament, they were playing. I found there were children having talent. We have to bring them up. But those were past. But before COVID, when we were supporting it, COVID struck and everything came to a standstill. During lockdown, I could not coordinate with them. And there were 2 tea gardens children where one of my elder sisters were giving them education tuition. So I saw my own kids, so I have 2 daughters. They were doing online yoga classes. So I thought that if they can learn yoga, so children can learn volleyball. So I contacted my sister who was teaching this tea garden children. I developed a small module where I can teach them volleyball online. But everything was lockdown, everything was closed. So I started interacting with them. The teacher, the education teacher, they have never touched a volleyball in their life. So I brought them online. I spoke to them for 2 days, video conferencing and all. Then I told them that what we are going to do next. We used to teach them in 1 day advance. And then we started interacting with the kids. On one side, I was with the laptop. On the other side, he used to take the mobile across the players. And we started teaching them recreation game where the children got attracted. Then there was lockdown, no balls. So we made balls with clothes. So they started playing with clothes ball, underhand. And that's how they learned. And I found कि ये तो boring हो जाएगा because दिन रोज same activities करेगा. So I organized online tournament among the both the tea garden team. यहाँ से 3 बच्चे, यहाँ से 3 बच्चे. कौन ज़्यादा कर पाएगा? We will give them some 100 rupees or so. And they prepared for it. And then I got the idea कि we can bring in more teams. Then I coordinated with all the other village pocket team and invited them for an online underhand league who can do most. And it was like it was lockdown and online league was happening. Every morning I used to sit down and they used to do online underhand drill. And if someone is doing 200, the other will say, I will do 250. It went on 2,000, 5,000 number count. And one of the kid finally, वो जो टी गार्डन का बच्चा था, उसको मैं एक दिन फोन करके पूछा कि क्या टारगेट है तुम्हारा, क्या करोगे कल? He was a match tomorrow. He told 4,221. So why? The other kid did 4,220. He had this target. So that's how it spread. And finally, unbelievable, ma'am. one boy from Nalbari district, Dharamtala, he did 3.5 hours of underhand non-stop, 17,000. Unbelievable. It has never happened in the world. I truly believe it. So that's how the idea started. Then I thought that we need to, when the COVID thing came down, we thought that we have to give them, they all got encouraged. They looked forward to me. So training is one point, but what was happening when a child started playing in a village, if you go somewhere, adults will be playing and there will be around 10-11 साल का बच्चा होगा जो ग्राउंड में ऐसा जाएगा, बॉल को फेंकेगा, आ जाएगा. This kid, they start at the age of 10 and 11. They don't get any matches to play up till they are 15 or 16 years of age. वहाँ पे भी entire district, there will be one district sub-junior team where 12 will be selected out of 400 something children. 6 will be playing. So rest others, they don't get, so motivation level goes down there. Top of that, the villagers, the center in charge, who is basically not a coach, he is just teaching part-time. So he also never get a platform to take his team ahead. So I call all of them on an online platform and I perceived this idea, okay, let us start a league. We don't have funds. I did not make the budget also, because if I go on to make the budget, we won't be able to sustain this. I asked them, देखो भाई, 1 किलो चावल, 1 किलो दाल, 2 आलू, कुछ तेल देके आप लोग क्रिकेट या टेनिस या गोल्फ को आगे लेके नहीं जा सकते हो, लेकिन वॉलीबॉल को डेफिनेटली एक प्लेटफॉर्म तक पहुंचा सकते हो. सो उन्होंने पूछा कि हाउ. सो आई टोल्ड देम कि आपके गांव में अगर एक टीम खेलने के लिए आएगा, आपका पड़ोसी टीम, आप उनको खाना खिला सकते हो. तो बोला व्हाई नॉट, हम लोग खिलाएंगे सब मिल के. So then they agreed to it. So idea was to make 4 pools among villages staying nearby. एक गांव की टीम दूसरे गांव जाएगा, गांव के सब मिलके उनका एक कम्युनिटी मील होगा, उनके साथ खाना खाएंगे और आफ्टरनून टाइम में मैच खेलेंगे दोनों. दिस इज अ होम एंड अवे फॉर्मेट. एंड इवनिंग दे विल रिटर्न बैक. मैचेस विल बी हेल्ड ओनली ऑन वीकेंड्स and children won't have to miss their studies. Community got involved and parents never get their children play matches live. गांव के बच्चे कहीं बाहर जाके खेलते हैं तो पेरेंट्स को बुलाते हैं, वो लोग को देखने को मिलता है. टॉप ऑफ दैट, these kids have never went out of their village. Very rarely they get to. Now what is happening with 4 teams, they get to play 6 matches, 3 home matches, 3 away matches. They get to see 3 new villages. They get to learn. So we started this and I named it Brahmaputra Volleyball League because it has an universal appeal. And I was I have grown up very near to Brahmaputra River, just half a kilometer away. And I got inspired from this. So I thought that this would be the apt name. So I coined it Brahmaputra Volleyball League with 0 budget, with 0 sponsors, nothing. Then I realized the league started. Then I realized कि एक गांव की टीम दूसरे गांव जाने के लिए, there are some villages where very active. They are like ready to send their team. But there are someone where individually is taking the lead. So it will be very difficult for him to commute to 3 places. So then I asked, one day my sister-in-law, she came and she told that, Bhaiya, I will give you 5,000 rupees, give something to these kids. So I told that, can you give something more? You can be a team owner of a team. Like the villages which need money. So like, kitna wala, 12,000-15,000. So she agreed, she brother-in-law, and she agreed. I told that, so मैं अंबानी बन जाऊँगा क्या? Like, yes, something like that. So then I wrote a small letter and I spread it across my friends and all. Would you like to be team owners by just paying 12 or 15,000 rupees, with which will cover the transportation costs, visiting 3 villages, and we will give 1 playing kit to the children. One by one, everyone started. One of the former international badminton players, he came on board. So I made a small कैनवास में एक डिज़ाइन करके, वी डोंट हैव एनी डिजिटल मार्केटिंग, वट एवर डू आई डू विथ माई मोबाइल. उनका फोटो लगा के कृष्णा हजारिका एंड आसावरी पापर adopting Majuli team. Majuli is a river island in Assam. So small, colorful this thing I shared with her. She shared in her badminton international group somewhere, and Aparna Papat came to know about it. So she asked Krishna, I want to talk to Abhijit. बोला Aparna Papat मेरे से बात करेगा, कैसे होगा, मतलब have you spoken to her? Krishna asked me 2 days later. I said no. They call her, she is waiting. Aparna came on board. Then Aparna came on board. I got this कि ये something is there, मतलब. Then everyone, सब मैं जगह बोलता हूँ Aparna Papat मैंने भी team adopt किया है. Then everybody get like attached to it. So slowly, in the first year, it were 50 teams, 17 girls team and 33 boys team. All these teams were adopted by some well-wishers across the world.
Team owners.
Huh?
Team owners.
Team owners. They are team owners. So we put their name here. and 50 teams, 400 children. And I make it, as he said, that federation has this all this thing ki permission nahi milega, kaise karega. So what I did, I made it 4 versus 4. अगर बच्चे गांव में कम भी है तो खेल सकता है. और 4 versus 4 is not FIVB or VFI. They cannot stop me. This is not volleyball. ये मेरा हम लोग का अपना लीग है. तो we started that way. And it happened, it continued. और धीरे धीरे गेम होने लगा तो मैचेस कैसा डिसाइड करेंगे. सो आई सेड दैट वी वोंट डिसाइड द मैच डेट, लेट द विलेजर्स डिसाइड. क्योंकि उनके गांव में कुछ फंक्शन होगा, आज नहीं खेल पाएंगे भाई हमारे गांव में. सो व्हाट दे डू इज दे गिव अस द डेट, दिस वीकेंड वी बोथ विल प्ले इन आवर होम मैच. सो just 3 days or 4 days before we make the schedule and share it with our well-wishers. First edition went very good. Second edition, unbelievably, first age group was like under 16. Next year we made it under 21 and under 16 both. Season 1 there were 50 teams. Season 2 there were 209 teams. So 2,200 children. Now believe me, 2,200 children, 209 teams means 209 different sponsors. Every sponsor's name are written here. Every village is different. T-shirt sizes are different. Kids' name are different. I sit on an Excel sheet because I work full time. I sit on an Excel sheet and make sure कि हर बच्चे को अपना किट साइज का नाम से स्पॉन्सर नेम लिख के मिलेगा. और वेंडर के साथ रोज लड़ाई होता है क्योंकि वो गलत प्रिंट करके भेजता है. Finally, everything is made out. 2,200 children got their kid name written on their back, distributed in 93 different villages across Assam, and they are very remote. And this year, ma'am, we have stopped under 21 because they got a lot of matches to play. We made it under 16, under 12. Under 12 league is happening for the first time in India, probably across world, I don't know. Young kids, they're coming on. We have made customized ball ordered from Jalandhar. Kit we ordered from Meerut because Assam it's costly. 235 rupees. First year we got the kit. Sublimation, sabka naam likh ke. Skipping rope, if you go to Decathlon, you will find in 110 rupees. My wife bargains, she's a sales girl. She bargained across all the Meerut vendors, got it in 20 rupees. So we gave one skipping rope to all the children. And this is how the league is happening. And in the second year, on a weekend, when I was watching a movie with my wife, she asked me कि अभी तुम्हारा मैच नहीं है कल BVL का. बोला है. बोले एक भी फ़ोन कॉल नहीं आया. मतलब earlier it was like छोटे से छोटे चीज़ के लिए फ़ोन कॉल आता था. Now it is so managed at the grassroots. On a weekend, around 65 to 70 matches are organized. 65-70 matches means 130-40 teams. 130-40 teams means 1,500-600 children moving from one place of Assam to other place of Assam. And everything is happening seamlessly. They were having meal, they were playing matches, and all these matches are broadcast live. What we did, I'm taking too much time probably, sorry. Shall I go?
You go ahead, then I'll tell Vishal what idea he's got from this.
Yes. And then I will finish it off there.
Yeah, with the live telecast.
Yeah, with the live telecast. One of my friend who works with Indian Idol, one of my school senior, he told that Abhijit इसको live broadcast करना है, कैसे करेंगे? So we tied up with a app called SportsVot to do grassroots broadcast. So now tying up is one part. How do we broadcast it? We need a tripod at least. So 193 villages were there. Each village, if you buy one tripod, it will go out to like something lakhs of rupees. So we cannot buy tripod. We again organized one online meeting. Asked them, I will show you this video. It will say it all. कि हम लोग कुछ बैम्बो से लाइव ट्राइपॉड बना सकता है क्या. सो वन गाय विल डू ब्रॉडकास्ट. दिस इज द वीडियो, यू कैन सी एंड यू कैन फाइंड आउट हाउ वी डू इट. वी मेक ए प्लेटफॉर्म एंड इट इज लाइव ब्रॉडकास्ट इट हियर. एंड दिस ऑल दिस वीडियोज आर मेड ऑन माई मोबाइल, सो डोंट एक्सपेक्ट एनी प्रोफेशनल थिंग्स इन दिस. या
Can we see the video? Is it on?
Song of BVL. Again, someone. These are the tripods. He's training the youngsters.
यस हाँ जी जब सर्विंग होगा तो लाल होगा या ब्लैक रहेगा रेड होगा हाँ बिकॉज़ इनका हम भूल रहे थे ये ठीक थोड़ी सी एरिया
This is the tripod. You will see the technology here.
আৰু এই ট্ৰাইপডডালত এটা মানে আপোনাৰ একেবাৰে অপৰিহাৰ্য অংগ হ'ল আমাৰ যিটো নেকি আমি কেমেৰা হোল্ডাৰ বুলি কওঁ এই কেমেৰা হোল্ডাৰটো এইডাল আমাৰ ষ্টিক এই ষ্টিকডালে আমি ষ্টিকটো আমি ৰোটেট কৰিম
That's the slot for the phone.
Yes.
আমাৰ এইটো কি নেকি আৰু ইয়াত আমি কেমেৰাটো ৰাখিবৰ কাৰণে আমি মোবাইল যিহেতু আমি মোবাইল ইউজ কৰিম আমি কেমেৰাটো ৰাখিবৰ কাৰণে ইয়াত দুটুকুৰা আমি কাঠ ইউজ কৰিছোঁ
এটেক লাইনৰ পৰা
How the stand needs to be
এটেক লাইনৰ
placed.
পৰা আমি 20
How far it is to be placed.
ষ্টেণ্ডটো দিছো যিটো কেমেৰা ষ্টেণ্ড হয়
Teaching them the scoring system, how he stays with that. This is this is live telecast. People watching in America also. Thank you.
A really inventive and it's almost like a mind-expanding idea of what you're able to do. Vishal, when you look at something like this, what are your first thoughts? Like when you're looking at this thing, that should we have tried 4x4 only and spared yourself the trouble with FIBB? No, more seriously, what is when you see something like this happening? Do you then are you then maybe explain to people how strong the volleyball culture is in India, which I think the audience needs to know in the numbers and the that you have and the revenue generation that you have at the top end of the sport.
Yeah, see, first of all of us in Prime Volleyball League, everyone's a big fan of Abhijit and what he's done with the Brahmaputra Volleyball League. Some of the teams and individuals have also come forward and adopted teams in BVL. So what he's able to achieve in terms of scale over just 2 years, or rather in just 2 years, is phenomenal, right? As far as volleyball is concerned, the popularity of volleyball and top line numbers, I think it's been a fairly popular sport in India, as is around the world. In fact, it's one of the few team sports that India's won a Asian Games medal in 1986. And after that, unfortunately, because the sport has been governed and run in India, the professional team hasn't done as well, right? But having said that, it is a low inventory sport. It is played in both rural and urban India. There's a volleyball court across different, across schools in India. Everybody, including my mother, grandmother, at some point of time, all of us have played volleyball, right? As far as understanding the rules and relatability of this sport, it's a very simple sport to follow, right? But at the same time, the highs of the sport, right? The sort of athletic abilities that the sport provides is amazing. I think you mentioned about basketball, right? If you look at, and we know basketball is as far as just the athletic skill is concerned is up there, right? The amount a person has to jump and all of that. For volleyball, right? An average player, I'm talking about a professional player, needs to have a vertical jump of around 80 to 100 centimeters, right? The spike reach is around 365 centimeters.
What is that in feet? Approx.
It would be like vertical jump, if you say, it will be more than 3 feet. So this much. And touching height would be more than 10 feet, 10, 12 feet probably. Yeah.
In fact, Abhijit himself being a former player, he mentioned to me that he had a vertical jump of around 350 centimeters, correct? Yeah. Which is huge, right? So great sport, which is easily affordable. It's a low inventory sport, easy to play, right? It's a mass sport. As far as the commercial numbers, top line numbers are concerned, what we achieved in season 1 of Prime Volleyball League, which is, in February, what concluded in February, we had a cumulative TV audience of over 133 million. right? In this live audience alone constituted to around 84 million. We reached over 85 million people on different social media platforms, which is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, with an engagement of over 5 million. We were also present in regional social media platforms like ShareChat and Moj. We had over 43 million video views. We reached over 27 countries through our broadcast. And the viewership also reflected in the gender sort of inclusivity, because 43% of the viewers were female, right? And we had an average sponsorship ROI of 1:25 or 25x, which means if a brand put in 1 rupee, they got 25 rupees back, or rather for every 1 rupee they put in, they got 25 rupees back through media value generated through the exposure of their brand, right? In the average Indian sort of league scenario, it is 1:9, right? And
When you're saying, sorry, I'll just interrupt. When you're saying league scenario, do you mean IPL or do you mean non-cricket?
all the other leags.
Oh, all the other non-cricket leagues that came and went and
Yes,
whatever.
including IPL. Yeah, obviously the monies involved in IPL are far bigger, and it's tougher to deliver higher numbers. But yeah, and lastly, we've also sort of followed up a successful season by raising investment into the league. The founders of PhonePe, which is the leading fintech company in India and a payments platform, have come on board as investors into the league and are also owners of the Bombay franchise, right? And in fact, they've also roped in Abhijit as the general manager of the Mumbai franchise.
So, these are two very varied kind of leagues. So I'll just start with you, Abhijit. Suppose there are people that want to do this elsewhere, right? Community leagues elsewhere. What would you advise them? How should they begin? How do you keep away from, say, either getting federation approval or just going under the radar when it comes to them? What would your advice be?
Initially, like, it should be very small kind of thing, like every village, whatever, there are a lot of children playing across the country in the state or whatever, but they don't have this platform to display their talent. And once you don't get this, they don't get an encouragement, they lose interest. So I would suggest rope in 5-6 teams and play matches among themselves, home and away. No one is stopping you from that. And once people get to know, more villages comes in. And when you have the numbers in your place, like around 20 villages or 4 or 5 districts playing on, then nobody is going to stop you. Even the federation, I don't think they have the courage to stop someone from playing who loves to play.
You will be surprised.
That's how I
What about you, Vishal? If this kind of a league, because they've tried, everyone has tried. Boxing has tried, wrestling has tried. Kho has just come into, you watch Ultimate Kho, and Kabaddi has been the big success. What would your advice be? But Kabaddi is owned by the TV channel, right? Kabaddi is owned by the broadcasters fundamentally, or by Star. Yeah. What would your advice be to someone who wanted to be a privately funded league? What would your advice be to them as to how do they go about this? Is it possible?
It's definitely possible, right? It is definitely possible because, as per CCI, which is Competition Commission of India, no federation can stop a player from earning his or her livelihood through participation in a private league, right? So it all depends on the amount of clout that federations have over players and how much sort of, players depend on the federation for their livelihood. In the case of volleyball, forget about being paid playing for India, right? Over the last few years, the players had to pay out of their pocket to play for India, right? Because the federation didn't have money, and for the Indian team, the players of the Indian team to participate in Asian championships, each player was asked to pay around 1.5 lakhs each, which is a huge sum of money, right? So the fact is, not every sport is cricket, right? There's hardly any money with the federations and with the players, right? But if there's a league that is able to offer a significant sort of revenue stream or an income stream to players, which is a private league, then by all means, I would, from a player perspective, I think it's a no-brainer, right? For a promoter who wants to do something, right, without the federation, as I said, there are no rules that says that sort of dictate the involvement of a federation in a sport or a league, right? And we'd love for more private leagues to sort of come and adopt similar models that we have.
Just another sort of follow-up question to that, Vishal, is like, is there money in the market to support it? Are there sponsors? Are there people willing to commit funding into this kind of thing? Because that tends to be the other one. Oh, everyone's giving money to cricket. But obviously, Prime Volleyball has shown that that's not true. So would you say that the Indian market is big enough to support many leagues of this kind?
I would say yes, right? What's important is, I think the right sport should be identified, right? Not every sport probably can be made into a league format. I think there have been more leagues that have failed than the ones that have succeeded, right? Also because I think, the league organizers fundamentally sort of get a lot of things wrong. One of which is, the sport. Now, traditionally, team sports have fared much better than individual sports, right? You see in the case of kabaddi and football and cricket, of course. So pick the right sport, number one. Number two, as far as funding is concerned, make sure the economics work for the scale at which we want to operate in the initial years, right? I think everyone tried to follow the IPL model. Now, only cricket can guarantee audiences and packed stadiums across the country, right? I think every other league tried to sort of, work in a similar format by, in a caravan format, moving from one venue to the other. And what happened is, in a year or two, all of them sort of went bust because of financial reasons. I think start small, because more than 99% of the audience comes from TV, right? Start small. I mean, identify the right sport, start small, cater to the TV audience primarily, and move up in scale once the economics work, right? To answer your question as far as brand support, etc., there's enough and more sort of, it all depends on the story. I think for Prime Volleyball League, what is important is we took a very popular sport, right? Similar to what Kabaddi did, right? We took a sport which is globally very popular, revolutionized it, or rather packaged it differently with slick production, TV angles, just to show how athletic the sport was, etc. And we had a great story to say. And I think we've in the initial seasons, we've had great brands coming on board to sort of support us.
Just a few questions. Abhijit, can you just tell us about what your response is to seeing something like the Prime Volleyball League? You played for India. You had a career in volleyball, which was nothing like what Prime Volleyball has given to a current generation of players. What has your response been to seeing this? What it looks like to you from a player perspective, the Prime.
It's a wonderful initiative. First time something good is happening for the players. That's what I told Vishal, sitting there watching the promo video. I get goosebumps because our days we never got a platform like this. Now they get international players on board. Volleyball world has acknowledged this, has partnered this. It's a huge opportunity, and I believe Indian players, they have the talent to be the top class European or American leagues. They have the talent to be a medal for the country, and that's how our dream is. That's how Prime Volleyball League sort of thinks of. Excellent platform for our players who have been striving to get a platform for all these years.
Just a couple of sort of questions. We've got about 5 minutes to go. Can you actually make peace with federations? Like, can you actually, I mean, you guys went the way that actually you're supposed to get money from them, it's not showing up. They do threaten players by saying, we will ban you from playing in the Asian Games or in, if you qualify for the Olympics. Or how do you deal with that? How do you deal as a promoter and as someone in business with a federation that wants to say, is paying no attention? I've got someone here who's a champion of basketball evangelist here. He will cry and tell you lots of stories about basketball. How do you deal with that kind of pushback from federations threatening players, basically?
See, it's not easy. It's not easy dealing with federations, right? Even when we started the Prime Volleyball League, the federation tried to threaten players, but the federation was sort of, in a very weak situation because they owed players money, right? And for 10 plus years, players weren't getting any money from playing for India and playing volleyball apart from travel allowance and daily allowance, TAD as you call it. So when the opportunity of Prime Volleyball League came by, players were more than happy to sort of partner with us because playing for India didn't really all these years, and there are 10 to 15 players out of the whole pool, huge pool of volleyball players in the country that get to play for India. So playing for India, representing the nation, wasn't putting food on the table. And these are players, who otherwise have day jobs at PSUs, ONGCs, railways, services, etc., and they play volleyball for a living, right? So for the league, the players were an easier sell than anyone else because they were going to get exposure, they were going to get significant sort of income from playing volleyball for a month or two, right? As far as coexisting with federation is concerned, it's not easy. It's never been easy, but I feel the main way to sort of do it, and this is mainly from a federation perspective, is if they don't interfere in the non-technical side of things, right? Especially the commercial aspects. If commercial organizations are allowed to run those aspects of any league, then I would assume it would be a better sort of formula or recipe for a successful league. And I think we've seen that with Pro Kabaddi League, but as you mentioned, there are more instances of sort of, federations and organizers falling out than both of them sort of, working together.
Abhijit, just one final question. What has been the response? It sounds like it's been terrific. How can sport work in sort of community development the way you've seen it? What are your dreams for the Brahmaputra League in the future? Is this girls and boys as well, or just boys? What is your plans for the future?
The community, the angle which I have seen is like sports can be a changing agent. It's happening. And these children who have never went out of their village is going out of the village for the first time in their life. 90% of the children are going out. Community are coming in, they're supporting in, because earlier the children used to be engaged in other anti-social activities, but now they're playing, they're coming to the ground and playing. Parents are getting interested. So this is a low-cost game, and it can revitalize the entire community there. And I hope more and more villages are going to join now. This year we have 393 teams from across 144 villages, 28 districts. So, and community is at the center of this league. Basically, they owned it. They decide the date. They organize meal for them. We don't give them any financial help. So they are owning it. And as long as community owns the league, then I believe the league will survive.
So we're almost done with our session here. I mean, I could go on to talk about how this is to be made to work, the community league and the absolute elite league at the top, sitting and talking to each other about what happens. I thought the idea of just 4 in a team was really clever. No conversation with the Volleyball Federation till now? Nothing? All silent?
All silent.
Okay, great. Okay. Are there any questions can we have? I don't know why my phone is ringing, but it is, yeah. Sorry, that's my phone. It should have been on silent. Where's the first question? Yeah. Over there. Yeah, that's all right.
So, hello, ma'am. Thank you for the session. Very insightful. So the thought just occurred that we're talking about private leagues, and long before the IPL started, there was a Indian Cricket League. Long before. So when we're talking about this, because the BCCI came out with a real hardline stance, but now there was a backing. Now BCCI is not exactly what you call bankrupt, and so any thoughts on that? You can see the huge difference in that, because Volleyball Federation of India is almost bankrupt. And
see, as I mentioned, it also depends on the clout the federation has on the players, right? Even when you're talking about ICL, that came before the IPL, right?
Correct.
The fact is, BCCI, players were contracted with BCCI, and BCCI was already paying lakhs to players in terms of their contracts with the federation, prize money per game, fee per game, etc. Right? So it was almost like players were obliged to play for IPL. Yeah. Oh, okay.
So there's
Which is not the case in other sports.
There's a question here on.
Yeah, so we've seen how Pro Kabaddi and now even Kho, they have gone with a TV, TV centric because the sport where they changed some of the rules, have added elements to make it more exciting for the TV audience. So is that something that other sports also want, other private league owners also could look at to change, or do you not want to tamper with the the essence of the sport is in essential?
Yes, I think that's very important. In fact, we've also tweaked a few rules, right? Like a normal volleyball game would be played up to 25 points per set instead of 5 sets. It's the best of 5 rather, not 5 sets. But that tends to be a bit boring, the longevity of it, right? The duration of it. And what we've done is we've made, each set up to 15 points. And we've introduced these things called super serve and super point, where, super serve is if it's an ace, a team gets 2 points instead of 1. A super point is at any juncture in a set, a team can call for a super point instead of 1 point, they get 2 points, right? And we've also sort of been able to package all of this and sell it to brands, sponsors, and things like that. So I think, these innovations and tweaks are essential for making a sport more TV friendly.
And in Kabaddi, they've literally changed the format of what it was, and Kabaddi's fundamentally been changed to be able to put it out on television. I think there's a question, one there and one there.
Yeah, I'm giving question here. Hi. Yeah. Good afternoon to everybody. Abhijit sir, really hearty congratulations. Such a fantastic work you're doing. It's highly inspiring and highly motivating. Are you taking any donations from the people to promote or to support the players in your team, sir?
Sir, as of now, the teams are adopted by well-wishers, as I said. Like Vishal is one of the team adopters, and Joy, Bhattacharya, everyone. Other than that, community takes care of this thing, the meal and organizing all.
Okay.
Thirdly, last year, Oil India supported us in organizing the Super League because we have the league in stages. The first in the district level, the district champion goes to Assam, is divided into 8 zones. From there, it goes to Super League. So in Super League, 32 teams participate, equal number of boys and girls teams. So Super League was totally organized by Oil India. They helped us in organizing, providing food and all. And we don't have a marketing team or a digital marketing team, someone to approach sponsors. As and when somebody is coming, then we are open to it.
Abhijit, how many teams need owners? How many teams need owners at the moment? You just put the number out.
Oh, there is more, because like this year, number of teams have grown to 393.
Oh,
so more
excellent.
than like...
I hope you deserve a great round of applause. Please, I request all the participants, please give a big round of applause.
But then again, teams have increased, but team sponsors are close to 200 now. We need 100 and something more sponsors. But we have made sure that with this, whatever contribution we got, every player will get 1 kit at least. That we have made sure.
What is the cost of the kit, sir?
It's 14,000 for adopting 1 team.
Okay, can I sponsor 1 kit for
Sure,
your
sir, why not,
children?
sir? Most welcome, sir. Thank you so much.
Excellent.
So,
Thank you so much.
Biggest takeaway from this.
Yes.
really, I sponsor 1 kit from my side.
Thank you so
if
much.
you have any GPay, I'll transfer money now.
No, we have
Or is any other mode of transfer is there?
Yeah, there was a question here. There's a question here. Anyone else has a question? Just put your hands up so I can see you. Okay.
Hi, my question is specifically for Vishal. At the Prime Volleyball League, you guys have a very interesting ownership model at a league level itself, where the owners of the teams are in fact owners of the league, and that's what's been followed in America. What is the competitive advantage that you guys believe you can derive when you compare it to your contemporaries, where, and I'm not talking about the IPL, but maybe your PKL and your ISL, where even the broadcaster has an important stake in the league itself. So what's the kind of competitive advantage that you believe in the long run you can derive by having the ownership model that you guys have?
Good question. As you rightly pointed out, every team owner in Prime Volleyball League also is a stakeholder at the league level in terms of owns a stake at the league. It just makes, I think, just the running of the league, governance, etc., all the more transparent. And everyone's invested in both the team and the league, right? Every owner, because if you look at the IPL, although there is an organizing working committee, there's BCCI, which pretty much is involved in all the decision making, and teams sort of have to adhere to what they have to say. Over here, each and every decision, as far as the league, teams, policies, rules, everything is concerned, all of us sort of jointly make those rules, right? I'll give you an example of last season. It was the inaugural season. We were still in the midst of a sort of COVID surge. I think it was the third wave, and the event was supposed to be held in Kochi in Kerala, right? But the government sort of took a stance saying they wouldn't be able to guarantee the sort of non-interruption of the league because of it being a communist government and things as far as healthcare is concerned. They were a bit sensitive when it came to sort of the league not getting interrupted when it was being held in Kerala. So overnight we had to change it to Hyderabad, and the Hyderabad franchise owners, who were also the league sort of stakeholders, sort of stepped in, spoke to the Telangana government, sports authorities, etc., and made sure that we had sort of a peaceful transition just 2 weeks before the league. Yeah, so I think a competitive advantage is that each and every team owner is equally invested in the league as much as their team.
And just one more is that when Major League Cricket starts in America, whenever it starts, the teams will own the league, unlike elsewhere. That's the big difference that we are most probably going to see. Sorry, yeah, last question. Yeah.
So this question is regarding the Brahmaputra League. So as you mentioned, there are almost around 250 plus teams and more students. So is there any district league that happens which might help the students in their career or players in their career in terms of volleyball? Are there any scouters that come for the players to take around the leagues, or how is it?
And in fact, with this Brahmaputra Volleyball League, entire state sports fraternity is involved, volleyball fraternity. And we scout the players. And whenever there is a state camp, we call players from this. Because like earlier in Assam, in a mini championship, there were hardly 14 teams participating. But because of this Brahmaputra Volleyball League, now the number of teams then increased to 40 something in the state championship. And top of that, in the first year when we had the league, the girls and boys ratios in under 16 was 2:1, but now it's almost 1:1. So number of teams has increased in boys, and they select from this particular league only.
Any more questions? No.
Can I?
There's one more there, yeah.
Yeah.
And one at the back.
I think my side of the story has been bashed because I'm one among those federation guys. And I've been trying to drive federation reforms from Indian football side, where we've accepted, anyone running private leagues, at least from the grassroots level. We've been trying to accept that. From that, and that's something that led me to being, accepted by FIFA, saying that this is something that actually works. So football, for a matter of fact, accepts private leagues. You can apply for a private league and you can run your private leagues on your terms. So that has happened in, I think, since 2019. So for me, what I have seen is the sustainability of such leagues in the long run has been of a big question. Be it a community league or be it even Prime Volleyball League. Sports, they start leagues, but then the sustainability of these leagues is a big challenge. How are you trying to address that? That's one question. A private question too, if you're getting backed by the volleyball world, are you going to access the CVC partners project that the volleyball world is also going to be working on across the world? Because that was signed during the pandemic. What are your thoughts on that?
The first part of your question, right, in terms of how we are going to sustain ourselves, right? I think going back to one of the questions that Sharda asked is, how can a league sort of sustain itself through a viable business model, right? And we spoke about, not being very ambitious in the initial years, having one or two sort of venues and then slowly growing in scale. once the economics work, right? Which by that I mean once there is media rights money coming to the system, there is sponsorship money coming to the system, the players, because the players are actually at the center of everything, especially for Prime Volleyball League, and I'd assume for the other leagues as well. Once these things sort of click, right, is when you start to try and spend a bit more on things like marketing, on building the product, on moving to multiple venues and things like that. Yeah. So that's what we are planning to do as well. To answer your second question, which is
On the first one, volleyball world itself is trying to establish the sport across the globe, and that's why they've brought in CVC on board. CVC has a stake in volleyball world. So will you be...
Can we discuss this outside the thing? Because it becomes very like sort of CVC world and all this like...
Right.
Honestly, because this is just a general... it's an interesting question. I would love to hear it, but I think people are ready for lunch.
Right.
Yeah, but thank you very much. Thank you to Abhijit, thank you to Vishal. Great conversation. And they are all here. I know there's a question there, but you can happily approach them. There are no bouncers around shooing you away. Thanks very much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.